I spent the last several hours digging through current Great Loop boat listings across the United States, and I found something I didn't expect. There are still a handful of genuinely capable trawlers under $100,000, but not all of them are the bargains they first appear to be. One of these boats is ready to leave the dock tomorrow. Another could easily become a six-figure mistake if you buy it without looking closer. Welcome back to Boat Hunter. Let's start with the one I'd approach most cautiously and work our way to the boat I'd personally buy. Finding a Great Loop-ready trawler under $100,000 has become noticeably harder over the past several years. Well-maintained boats tend to disappear quickly, while neglected boats often linger on the market waiting for a buyer who either doesn't notice or doesn't mind. That's exactly why condition matters far more than the name on the hull, and it's exactly why we're going to dig into these 5 listings the way an experienced buyer actually would. Number 5. 1985 Grand Banks 36 Classic. $65,500. Alberta, Alabama. We're starting with the listing I'd approach with the most caution, because what the description promises and what the photos actually show don't entirely agree with each other. Before I even read the description on this one, I spent a few minutes looking through the photos. That's where my concerns started. The listing description reads like a genuinely appealing boat. An aft cabin sleeping 5, twin heads, teak interior throughout, recent battery and windlass work. On paper, that's a compelling package at this price point. And the Grand Banks name still carries real weight in this market. The photos tell a somewhat different story. The exhaust manifold shows heavy corrosion and scale buildup, the kind of visible deterioration that suggests deferred maintenance in that specific area, regardless of what else has been addressed. The engine room overall presents as grimy and cluttered, which doesn't necessarily indicate mechanical problems, but it does suggest an owner who hasn't prioritized that space the way a buyer would hope. The interior shows worn cushions, a stained rug, and patched flooring and cabinetry that simply don't match the exceptional condition language used in the listing description. Her Caterpillar 3208 diesel also carries the highest hours of the group, roughly 6,500. That's not automatically disqualifying. Plenty of well-maintained Caterpillar 3208s run reliably well beyond that figure, but combined with the visible condition issues elsewhere, it raises the stakes on getting a thorough, independent survey before any offer is made. So why does she still make today's list? Because the underlying boat is a Grand Banks 36 Classic, one of the most respected hulls in the entire trawler world, and even in rough shape, that heritage is worth acknowledging honestly rather than dismissing outright. Plenty of boats in this condition get purchased and brought back by the right owner, someone with the time, budget, and mechanical willingness to address what the photos reveal. I'd treat this listing as a starting point for negotiation rather than a fair asking price as presented. Given the gap between the description and what the photos actually show, there's a legitimate conversation to be had about price, and a survey should absolutely happen before any serious commitment. This is the boat I'd only move forward on after a very thorough survey and a price that genuinely reflects the work it appears to need. This is exactly why I never buy a boat based on reputation alone. Condition will always matter more than the badge on the hull. If you're finding this useful, take a second to like the video, subscribe to Boat Hunter, and turn on notifications. We create videos like this regularly to help retirees find real value in the used trawler market and avoid the mistakes that can cost thousands. Number 4. 2000 Island Gypsy 32 Journey. $54,900. Warwick, Rhode Island. From a boat that needs caution, we move to the clear budget standout of today's group. The 2000 Island Gypsy 32, named Journey, is asking $54,900, and her Cummins 6BT 5.9M diesel produces 220 horsepower and shows only around 1,525 hours. For a well-maintained Cummins 6BT, 1,500 hours is generally considered relatively low, assuming the engine has been properly serviced throughout its life. The current owners apparently used her primarily as a floating retreat for sunset cruises around Newport Harbor, and light, infrequent use like that is exactly the kind of history that tends to leave an engine in good working condition. Stepping through the layout, the salon dinette folds down into a double berth, and there's a second sleeping option on the port settee, with a 55-gallon icebox tucked underneath, a detail that speaks to how thoughtfully the original designers used the available space. The real accommodations sit forward and down, where a center island queen berth anchors the master stateroom. That walk-around access matters more than people expect until they've spent a few nights climbing over a partner in a traditional V-berth configuration. A separate head with a stall shower rounds out the forward cabin. Navigation equipment is a genuine strength here. Dual Simrad autopilots paired with a Garmin chart plotter and radar give you real redundancy, and a bow thruster combined with hydraulic steering makes handling considerably less stressful for a couple where one partner is still building docking confidence. The mechanical side received genuine attention in 2020. New marine gear, a dripless shaft seal, injector pumps, and cleaned fuel tanks. Those are exactly the kind of unglamorous, expensive line items I like seeing already handled rather than inherited as a future repair bill. Now the honest part. She's currently out of the water with patchy bottom paint, which means a haul-out and fresh bottom job should be factored into your budget before splashing her for a serious cruise. And the interior styling is a genuine time capsule, yellow curtains and purple upholstery straight out of 2000. None of that affects seaworthiness, and a weekend of reupholstering solves it entirely. If this were my money, I'd feel good about this price. Documented 2020 mechanical work and a genuine budget entry point into serious Great Loop cruising make this the kind of listing that disappears quietly while everyone else is still debating whether purple upholstery is a deal breaker. One thing I've learned is that updating upholstery is usually far less expensive than rebuilding a neglected diesel engine. Number 3. 1988 Monk 36 Aft Cabin Trawler. $85,000. Anacortes, Washington, moving up the list. The next boat sits at nearly double the price of the island Gypsy. But the difference in what you're getting becomes clear the moment you step aboard. This is the boat on today's list built specifically around genuine Liveaboard comfort, rather than simply moving from point A to point B efficiently, and it earns its place as the Liveaboard specialist of the group. Her Cummins 4BT diesel shows just 750 hours, an exceptionally low number for a boat built in 1988. Cruising at an economical 8 knots, she stretches 240 gallons of fuel into a 700 nautical mile range. Think about what that actually means for someone planning the Great Loop. 700 miles between fuel stops means entire stretches of the journey, the Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway, for instance, become a non-issue from a fuel planning perspective rather than a constant calculation. The aft cabin here is where this boat genuinely earns its higher price relative to the island Gypsy. A proper walk-around queen berth with an ensuite head featuring a separate tub and shower gives a retired couple real privacy and real comfort during months of continuous living aboard. A second guest cabin forward with a V-berth handles visiting family without displacing the owners from their primary space. Teak and holly flooring runs throughout, and headroom in the salon hits a full 7 feet, a detail that matters more than people realize until they've spent a season ducking under a low overhead on a smaller boat. She received a fresh bottom job in 2024 with an epoxy barrier coat and copper ablative paint, meaning that expensive maintenance item is already handled for the next several years, rather than looming as an immediate cost. A 10-foot West Marine inflatable dinghy comes included, saving a buyer a meaningful additional expense right out of the gate. The one real limitation is speed. She tops out around 10 knots, so this is genuinely a boat for people who've made peace with a trawler pace in exchange for the fuel economy and interior comfort that pace delivers. Personally, this is where I'd spend a little more if genuine liveaboard comfort is the goal, rather than just checking the Great Loop box. For a retired couple planning to spend months aboard rather than weeks, this could easily become a 10-year boat. A comfortable layout is something you'll appreciate every single day you're aboard, not just when you're showing the boat to friends. Number 2. 1986 Albin 34 Family Cruiser, Paumanok. $54,900. Katamet, Massachusetts. The next boat brings something none of the previous three can claim: 17 years of continuous ownership and a maintenance log that reads like a masterclass in documentation. She might be the smart buyer's choice on today's entire list. She's hull number 3 of fewer than 50 ever built, a genuinely rare boat in a category where most models produced far larger numbers. Her current owners have had her for 17 years with a maintenance log stretching back to 2009 that's about as thorough as documentation gets on a boat this age. New transmission rebuild, replaced exhaust riser and drive shaft, fresh batteries, upgraded chart plotters, replaced fuel bladder tank. It's all there in writing, which means a buyer isn't relying on a seller's word about what's been done. They're looking at a paper trail. Her Cummins 6BT 5.9 diesel shows 2,300 hours and puts out 210 horsepower, giving her a 9-knot cruise and a 12-knot top end, a touch faster than the other boats on today's list. The tri-cabin layout includes a private owner's cabin aft with its own head, a galley down with a second-day head and shower, and a U-shaped dinette that converts to a guest berth. That layout genuinely maximizes what's available in 34 feet, giving a couple real separation from guests without sacrificing the owner's private space. She's set up for genuine self-sufficiency too. 2 solar panels, a Honda 3.2 kilowatt generator, a bow thruster, and dual helm stations at the flybridge and pilot house. That pilot house helm in particular matters for anyone planning to cruise variable weather, giving you a warm, dry command position when conditions turn uncooperative, rather than being stuck exposed on an open flybridge. The styling shows her age in places, which is honestly expected on a 39-year-old boat. But for buyers who value a documented history over cosmetic freshness, this one is genuinely hard to beat. I'd rather buy this well-maintained older boat than a newer one with no maintenance records. And at this price, with this documentation, and with the rarity of hull number 3 of fewer than 50 built, this might be the single best documentation-to-price ratio anywhere on today's list. Documentation doesn't guarantee a perfect boat, but it dramatically reduces the number of unknowns. Number 1. 2001 Camano 31 Trawler, 99,950 Vs, St. Pete Beach, Florida. And that brings us to my overall favorite of today's list, the boat I'd personally call about first. She's asking $99,950, the most expensive boat on today's list. But she backs that price up with the most complete electronics package of the entire group and maintenance that's current right through the listing. Her Volvo Penta TMD 41P diesel shows 1,410 hours and was just serviced in April of this year, which tells you the current owner has kept up with maintenance right through the listing process, rather than letting things slide once a sale became likely. What genuinely stands out here is redundancy at the helm. A 12-inch Garmin display at the flybridge and a 9-inch Garmin at the lower helm both provide full chart plotting, radar, and depth coverage. That means there's no compromise whether you're running from up top on a beautiful day or down below when weather turns. For a couple planning to trade off time at the helm, having identical full capability at both stations removes a genuine point of friction that shows up on boats where the lower helm feels like an afterthought. She's also had a new air conditioning system and refrigerator installed recently, both meaningful investments for anyone planning to live aboard through a southern summer. A quote is currently being sought for a Fisher Panda generator, and that absence is really the only significant knock against this listing. Her semi-displacement hull and single-engine simplicity make her genuinely easy to run and maintain, which matters for a first-time owner who doesn't want to manage the doubled complexity that comes with twin engines. This is exactly the type of maintenance record I like seeing, current right through the listing rather than tapering off once a seller decided to sell. The missing generator is worth factoring into any negotiation conversation, and there's a legitimate case for asking the seller to either complete that installation or adjust the price accordingly before closing. Modern electronics can cost tens of thousands of dollars to install later, so finding them already on board adds real value. So where does that leave us? My number 1 pick is the 2001 Camano 31. It's the most complete package on today's list, combining modern electronics, recent maintenance, and a layout that's easy for a retired couple to own and operate. Close behind it is the Albin 34, whose maintenance records are some of the best I've seen on a boat of this age. The Monk remains my favorite for buyers prioritizing long-term liveaboard comfort, while the Island Gypsy offers tremendous value if you're comfortable updating the cosmetics. As for the Grand Banks, I wouldn't write it off, but I wouldn't write a check until a survey confirmed what the photos couldn't. Which of these 5 would you choose? And should this become a recurring series where we walk through current listings together? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. If you found this useful, take a second to like the video, subscribe to Boat Hunter, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching Boat Hunter. I'll see you in the next one.